Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Venue podcast with your host, MG, the venue specialist. I have two absolutely wonderful guests for you this afternoon. I've got Tom of Press Play Djs and Qamara of Sojourn Philly and PRLA. Before they get to dive into introducing themselves, I'm going to first tell you how I met these two absolutely beautiful human beings. So with Qamara, her and I met in the fall of 2018 before I started MG, the venue specialist. Walked into Jet where she was currently working, and she was enjoying some a little bit of wine because it is Jet Wine Bar with some friends of mine. So we were introduced, and that was the first time we got to know each other. And I would learn that she is probably one of the most popular people in all of Philadelphia. She literally knows everybody. So we definitely know some people in common, but she's been able to introduce me to so many wonderful people throughout, not just the hospitality industry, but beyond. So Qamara also plays softball with in a league with some friends of mine who were hosting a Quizzo in the summer of 2019. In walks Tom, and no one else knew you. I think it was just me, and I was like, holy crap, that's Tom. And I walk up to you and I say, I'm Mary Grace. Do you remember me? You're like, I'm really sorry. Did I embarrass myself? I can't remember your exact words, but it was, I've been 7 years sober. So anything I did before that, I'm really sorry. And I think I just sput out New Deck Tavern, 2003 to 2005 karaoke till now. And you're like, oh my gosh, MG. And just this, and back when we could hug. And so Tom he ran the weekly karaoke at New Deck Tavern when I was an undergrad at Drexel. And my friends and I went there religiously on Tuesday nights to sing, and we had a duet together. And it just been, so it was wonderful to reconnect, especially now that I'm in the wedding and event space, because you own your own DJ company. So my clients were actually there at the Quizzo with us, where I'm like, you guys remember Tom from Drexel? Oh, and you guys ended up DJing their wedding right before we all went into lockdown. So Qamara has been attending your Quizzo, your in-person Quizzo in the before times for how long? How long do you guys go back?
Predate Tom, so it's as far back as he started there.
So when did your in-person Quizzo begin? Because I only knew you as karaoke, Tom.
Yeah. So in the karaoke days, I was doing Quizzo too, just at other venues. I guess I don't specifically know the year that I started my in-person Quizzo at Fido, where Q would come. But I feel like it's included, like it's been 9 years.
It's at least 9 or 10 years.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I date everything by how long I've been dating my boyfriend. And so everything is based on how long I've been with Mike. So at least 10 years, maybe around there. But the funny thing is, you weren't the only person that knew Tom at the Quizzo, because Tom was there because of another mutual friend that we have in common.
Oh, it wasn't even through you. Who else was it?
So Tom was there because of a friend of ours named Joe, who suggested Tom for the event.
Now, does Joe also participate in this Fido Quizzo?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he's our number one bitter rival. Like we're on the rival team. But Joe also plays softball. And so
okay.
And so Tom and I got to have a season of softball together.
Tom, did you play softball as well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one season I played with Q and Joe, who were on opposite Quizzo teams at Fido, like rivals. I played on their team. We won the championship.
Now what is your position in softball?
I mean, Q plays my position.
I play first base, and I refuse to give it up.
Yes.
None of that surprises me at all. Okay, just wherever you were needed.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say the running joke between, and not that we should spend this whole time talking about Joe, but the running joke is that we're like bitter rivals on Wednesday, and then the rest of the days of the week we actually all get along. Like his team and my team get along, but like on Wednesdays we're enemies. And...
Yes.
All right. So Tom, you've been doing the in-person Quizzo thing. how much of your time was spent Quizzo versus DJing events, and like how did you really kind of get your business off the ground over this last decade?
Yeah, so I've been a DJ. 2001 will be my 18th year that I've been a DJ. Like I haven't done any other job besides this for that long. I started out with a company in Delaware County, worked there on and off for 5 or 6 years, left there, went on my own. It didn't really work out great. Moved into another company and just kind of bounced around. And in 2012, I took over the day-to-day operations of a company out in Bryn Mawr and was working there for about a year running that company, everything, hiring, venues, like getting new clients, all that stuff. And just kind of was like, I'm cutting these checks for owners who are never around. And I was like,
why am I not getting paid? I do all the work.
Yeah. And I'm like, I literally do everything, like payroll, everything. Like, and I was like, I think I'm done here. So 2013, I left and I started Press Play Djs in 2013. And I would say, like, you know, and we know this business is all about relationships. Like it's all about relationships. The relationships you make are what that's going to determine your success in this business.
And you never know who you're going to reconnect with in the future.
You never know who's going to be in a charity Quizzo for a softball league. And there you go. You get a wedding out of it. So yeah, I mean, I started hiring DJs, Quizzo hosts, stuff like that. But I would say like it's pretty 50-50. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are basically your Quizzo days, right? And Friday and Saturday are your DJ days. I mean, whether we're doing a wedding or a birthday party or an anniversary party or any kind of event, we're doing that. But we're also doing, you know, Lucky Strike, and we filled in at Tavern on Broad when it was open, and Fido Friday, Saturday nights, Tir Nanog. We would do happy hours. That was all DJ work.
Have you ever DJ'd at any of the Sojourn Philly establishments? And for our listeners out there, Qamara, can you walk us through the Sojourn Philly collection?
Sure. So we started with Jet Wine Bar, which opened in 2019 on South Street, because the owner, Jill Weber, is an archaeologist by trade, and she actually would travel to all of these exotic locations as part of her academic work and discovered wines outside of Italy and France and California and said, these are amazing wines that the rest of the world doesn't know about. And I want to bring these back to my hometown of Philadelphia. So that's
I heard 2019. I know we're all totally fried on time, but what year did
Jet started in 2010.
Yes. Okay.
2010. And the most amazing thing is that's why Jet is our global vineyard. We call it a global vineyard because we have wines from Texas, and we also have wines from the Republic of Georgia. We have wines from South Africa, you know, Albania. We have wines literally from all over the world, outside of what people typically think of as wine. And so that's been an amazing educational experience as well, growing my wine knowledge. And then in 2012 is when Rex opened, Rex 1516, which is a American Southern restaurant. And then I was hired with the company in 2014 to open Cafe Inez, which is our BYO Mexican restaurant on Washington Avenue. And after I got promoted in 2016 to Director of Business and Events, and part of my job in 2016 was finding other avenues for revenue outside of the basic footprint of our restaurants. So one of the things that I worked really hard on was forming a relationship with PHS. So we actually opened
the Philadelphia Horticulture Society.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Horticultural Society. So they were doing pop-up gardens throughout the city. So one of the things that I did was form a relationship with them to open their pop-up seasonal garden in West Philly. And so Tom was actually able to host Quizzo there for a summer. For a summer. And then we actually did not renew that contract because we were concentrating on opening new restaurants. So we are actually in the process of opening a new Mexican restaurant at Burke's and American in like a week.
Okay, wow.
And then actually by the time this airs, that restaurant will be open. And then we are in the process of moving Rex 1516, 2 doors down to the Royal, the historic Royal Theater, which will hopefully open mid to late summer.
Yeah, the facade's incredible. It's I'm excited for when it officially opens.
I'm going to tell everybody now that we're going to have the best indoor dining space that you will ever see in Philadelphia. It's going to be amazing. And that's actually going to have live music, which is an aspect that we have been looking to expand from previous Rex, which is a much smaller venue. So we're going from a 30-seat restaurant to a 300-seat restaurant.
I can't wait until we get some sort of normalcy. And I mean, Qamara has already been one of my go-tos during the pandemic, well, for a million reasons, but they opened up the Jet Wine Garden, which is all outdoors, and really spruced it up. And so perfect for kind of a last minute elopement, a wedding ceremony, or a little celebration with friends and family, where you can do that socially distanced, following all the rules. And, you know, as president of the local chapter of the PRLA, Qamara is all about the rules and helps keep us aware of what the rules are, because they are changing and confusing. Yeah, but
it's kind of,
we're hanging in there.
It's been one of the biggest struggles of the pandemic, is because I want every restaurant and venue to do everything that they can do to survive. I want everybody to come up with any idea, anything that you can do to survive. I look at it as a bigger picture of, I want to make sure that we are surviving as an industry, so that at the end of this, there's going to be more than 4 restaurants that happen to not be owned by Darden or Taco Bell or any of the big chains.
I have a couple of friends that might disagree with you. They do love their Taco Bell, but independent restaurants are definitely the backbone of the Philadelphia hospitality industry. Right. And I'm hoping that the money that is coming through now with the government is going to help. Yeah. And
so, yeah, I mean, it's so I don't want to seem like I am a rules dictator, but I feel like I don't want to see people shut down because they're not following the rules. And that's been my biggest, trying to communicate that I'm not trying to
you're not trying to be mean. You're trying to keep people safe and keep businesses open. Yeah.
I want you to have your permits, and I want you to do it because I want you to be here at the end of this.
Yes, absolutely.
And so Tom will tell you this, I've been trying to find ways to incorporate him into our outdoor space without breaking the rules, because I really want to try to help all of my friends as much as possible. And so I've been trying to struggle with, like, this is what we can do and can't do. And so is there a way that I can bring you in to do this? Or can I bring you in to do this? And so it's been difficult, especially I love what Pennsylvania said about dance floors throughout the whole pandemic, because they basically were like, you can have a dance floor, but you have to wear a mask and you need to stay 6 feet apart from the next person.
Dancing in place. That's the no. Now, Tom, have you? I assume, have you taken on any wedding clients in the last year? Have you done any micro weddings, or has it been just Quizzo and trivia and such?
The last thing I DJ'd was March 14th, 2020.
Okay.
So it's been over a year since I've DJ'd anything, like set up my stuff, obviously, other than like in my house, like practicing. But
can't get rusty.
For people, for like live people, I haven't DJ'd anything in over a year.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's coming back though. It's coming back.
It's coming back. So I've had all my 2020 weddings moved to 2021.
Okay.
So that was a little bit difficult, and like trying to figure, because I had 2021 dates booked. So
right.
I've been lucky in that my 2020 dates didn't run into my 2021 dates.
Wow.
So fortunate. So fortunate.
Amazing.
I know I am. I know I'm fortunate. I've had 2021 dates move to the end of 2021 from the beginning. Like I do have an April wedding. That is still going ahead.
Assume all outdoors.
Sure.
I mean, if it's outside of Philadelphia, they are allowed to do.
Is that Alice's friend's wedding?
No. That's going to be in like York. No, this is outside of Philadelphia. Yes, it's outside not a Philly wedding. I don't have any Philadelphia weddings in 2021. All my weddings are like, I have one in Maine. I have one. I'll have one hopefully in York. I have.
Ooh,
one.
where are you going in Maine? And do you need an assistant?
I'm dead serious. I will bring whoever wants to come for the weekend and just hang out.
Where is it in Maine?
I don't know yet. It was either going to be
Big
there.
state, dude.
I know. So it was either, well, because it was supposed to be last year. So we just haven't connected. Like they put their deposit down. I know the date and I know it's going to be Maine. It was either going to be Maine or South Africa.
Wow.
And I was like, can we
South Africa, South Africa.
Wow.
DJ wedding there.
And they're paying, would they have paid for a flight to South Africa?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've traveled all over the US to DJ stuff, weddings.
I didn't know that. Mary.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Yeah.
I'm a jet set DJ. I'm national. You got a huge guess here, MG. Huge guess.
This is a big get right here.
So part of this podcast is going to be Tom and I outdoing ourselves to see which bigger guess.
I do have that in my notes. Talk about Qamara's obsessive need to always be competitive.
Yes,
Just right. I'm just right all the time.
So I haven't done anything, and I have a wedding in April, and I'm like so nervous. I'm like, do I know how to do this? Like, hold on. Like, do I remember the song? Like, it's just, it's been all Quizzo. All like, so in the beginning it was virtual, like as soon as
so tell me about the transition from like March 14th, last wedding. Okay, so then what was next? Because I know it took me months to figure out what I was doing with my next. So
it was days. So March 18th, I was like, okay, so the first thing I did was have an anxiety attack.
Right there with you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm done. Like, what else am I good at? Because I'm not having a business. I was doing all the procrastinating, like, oh no, we'll be back in
2 weeks, right? 2 weeks tops, no problem. Yeah.
October, maybe, I'm thinking New Year's, we'll be DJing on New Year's. And that was like the latter, like, other DJs were like, nah, a couple weeks. So March 18th, the first thing I thought was like, okay, like what can I do? How can I reach people? How can I continue to try and make any kind of money? Doing this, and it was talking to people. I just started spitballing to people. What can we? Instagram Live was like the first thing. It was like, okay, like we can go live on Instagram and we could start hosting trivia. Well, what about cheaters? I mean, at this point, who cares? Like, I really don't care. Like, let's go. I love entertaining. It's what I like to do. I like doing it.
Tom is responsible, and he will agree with me on this. He is responsible for both of ours silver lining throughout all of this. And the fact that we now have 10 new best friends.
We do have 10 new best friends. So we went virtual. We went Instagram Live. So I started hosting trivia that way. And it was really cool. Like, it was super. And
it wasn't themed, correct? The themes were all specialty. What?
No, so it was.
How do you usually set up your Quizzo? Like, what's your...
We'll do a general trivia round. We'll do what's called a top 10 list. It's like one question with 10 different answers in any order. Like, what are the 10 largest states by population? Put them in any order, 1 through 10. That's a whole round.
Mm-hmm.
Picture round, music round. So I cut out like a category round because I didn't know how this was going to go. Like,
of course. Who's going to show up and
who's going to show up? Like, how are we going to grade? Like, we had to figure it all out as we were going. Like, and it was like, okay, well, email me the answers and then I'll be right back. And then we had trouble with playing music because of Instagram's copyright rules and all that. Like there were certain things, like it was just, oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do here. Like, so, but we figured it out and we kept rolling along. Then Fido reached out and wanted me to do a national on their national page. Like Fido has different pubs throughout the country. And so they were like, we want you to do Instagram Live on our Instagram. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Pay me, please.
Well, no. So like, they were like, we can't pay you, but you can give out your Venmo. And I'm like, okay, like I'll make more doing that than I would saying like, oh, $200, whatever, So we started doing that. And like the first week we had like 120 Quizzo teams.
Wow.
It took
How long does that take to grade?
It took 3 hours to grade.
Yeah.
Wow.
You didn't even know if you won that night. Like
No.
on the next day.
You didn't find out till the next
120. So
day.
not even 120 people participating, 120 teams.
120 teams.
And my team still won most of the weeks.
They did pretty good. Like this was nationwide, and like, you know, there were so many teams, and that stayed, you know, pretty good for a while. And then I started hosting like a Name That Tune night, which was like just basically all audio rounds. Like people who like music and want to guess the song, come on, Wednesday night, let's do it. So I start this night, and it kind of like turned into this, like 10 people would show up, 11, 12 maybe. And what I started doing was going live with these people. I would go live with them individually, and I would ask them those questions that are at the end of Inside the Actor's Studio with James Lipton. He used to ask like these 10 questions, and there's like a thing for it. I forget, like, what's your favorite curse word? What's your favorite word? What's your least favorite word? What's your favorite sound? What's your least favorite sound? Like there was like 10 of them. So I started going live with people, getting to know them. And through these questions, well, I don't even know how it happened, but like this group, like I started a group chat on Instagram with the group, and what was the name? It was the Wednesday Night Crew.
Okay.
And so it just grew. And then we went to Zoom, and we're all like friends now. Like all these people that were connected to me, like I'm the lightning rod to this group. People from Fido Quizzo from 10 years ago. Belinda is from Boston. She found me on Instagram for Fido for the National Quizzo with her friends. We've had a socially distanced barbecue where all these people met who never met each other in real life, like only on the computer and the Instagram lives and the Zooms. And we've had like 2 gatherings. We're like this group of friends.
We had
That's
our
amazing.
first date around my birthday, and I tried to turn it into a birthday party, and Tom was like, no, we have to have, like, this is our first date. We have to make sure we like each other first.
Yeah, it's not about you, Q.
But the funny thing is, you put in your notes for those listening about my family joining a lot of things. So like Tom now has become friends with my siblings.
Yes.
I brought this group.
Because Qamara kept hounding me. She's like, you have to join Tom's Quizzo, and I was like, okay, I'll come out. And you don't limit the number of participants per team, and so I get on Qamara's Zoom, and it's like 20 members of her family.
Yeah.
OMG.
And the best part is too,
y'all don't really need me here, but I think I might have been able to contribute maybe one answer that the rest of the team didn't know. But the only other time that I would do one of Tom's Quizzos was it 90s trivia? And as soon as I saw it on Instagram, I'm like doing that. Yeah. And so I had my own team of my circle of friends. And we expected it to happen, it was my team versus Qamara's team. And we lost in the tiebreaker for first place.
That was right. My little sister. My little sister is the one that pulled that question out of her, I don't know where. Like she
I think it was a name this song, and we just
Celine Dion song that
was, I think we knew that one. It was the second song.
There was whatever a second song.
Yeah,
and we
just nailed it. But like,
we did not know it.
So it's so funny when people play Name That Tune. We've gotten into like the Edwardses versus everyone else, because everyone's like, it's not the Edwardses know all these songs. They grew up together and they listen to the same stuff all the time. Like,
yeah, so everything. It's like a whole thing. Like, and we still play Name That Tune every Sunday. We play every Sunday on Zoom. These 10 people, the same people. And now, like, they host. Like, I get to play. So, like, we have a schedule, and like 1 week it'll be 2 people, and like they're hosting their 2 rounds, and everybody plays against each other, and we keep score. And there's like standings. It's like, and nobody can beat me, but like they try. It's the one thing that you can't beat me. So we have that, and it's awesome. So everything transferred from Instagram Live to Zoom, because during this, while it was great in the beginning, after about 6 months, or not even, the weather started getting nice.
Everyone wants to go outside, and
everybody started going outside on these nights, and it was like, man, what am I going to do? Like, this was great, but now, and also like the novelty wore off. Like people started getting Zoom sick and like Instagram Live sick.
Zoom fatigue is real.
Yeah.
People zoomed out.
Right. So I did transfer everything, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm taking the 2 nights. I was doing Tuesday for me, Thursday for Fido. And the Fido even got down to like 10 teams. Like, and it was like not generating income anymore or enough to survive. Because that's all I'm trying to do is survive, not thrive, survive.
Yeah.
Heard.
Because, as everybody knows, like the DJ industry is below the restaurants. So everybody's like restaurants. And I'm like, I get that. And I'm with you on that. But not even right below, a little bit below that, all the way down here. Right there. That's where the DJs and the live entertainers are, right? Specifically the DJs. We've lost, like, I know for myself, 6 figures since this started, like in sales, like a lot of money. And it doesn't really get talked about. It does a little bit gig workers. I'm a small business owner / gig worker, I guess you could say. But when everything went over to Zoom, I was like, I can get the nights combined, and it started generating more money. Then I had to charge the teams $25 a team, which I think is reasonable. You'd spend more than that if you went to the bar and played, right? So
the amount of money I've saved by not going to the bar.
Right.
I mean, I will say, it's so funny. Like, it's almost like as Tom is trying to allude to, it goes in steps. And MG, as you've alluded to, I obviously deal with a lot of industry specific things, being president of the trade association for the city. And one of the things that we've shifted our focus to is the event planning, catered events, outdoor events, things like that. Because now that, not that restaurants are in a great place, but now that we've gotten restaurants in like a little bit of a better place, we've started shifting our focus and, okay, how can we bring weddings back? How can we bring catered events back? How can we bring outdoor events back? How can we get the rest of the industry? Because hospitality is such an all-encompassing industry. It is hotels, it is restaurants, it is Airbnbs, it is bread and breakfasts, it is the DJs, it is the linen company, it is the to-go container manufacturer, it is an insurance company. There's so many facets to this business that people don't take into account or realize that exist. And so we find ourselves having these conversations with city officials and politicians about, okay, yeah, we've taken care of this part. Now we've got to figure out how to take care of this part. And I will say the biggest group of people I'm hearing from now are the event planners. Those are the people that are reaching out to me more than anything, are the event planners. MG, one of our mutual friends, Lauren Westerman, is constantly like, okay, let me know when I can do a wedding. Please let me know when I can do a wedding, please.
It's and the venues that are struggling because they don't classify as restaurants, and so
the catering calls. They're all the catering calls.
It's been a mess.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where, as the restaurants, like, so in the summer, like when things started to get nice, like a couple of my clients reached out and they're like, would you be interested in doing an outdoor Quizzo? And this is going to be tough to pull off. Like, you have to figure out where to put speakers, tables, 6 feet, all that, but we figured it out and we started doing outdoor Quizzo, like at Fido, we were doing it on 15th Street. Like, people walking by yelling out answers. Like, it is what it is. Like, across the street, they're in the apartment, like yelling down.
At least they're yelling out the wrong answers. They're not yelling out the right answers.
You got cars driving by, like, everything, like all this stuff happening. Like, it's a pretty busy 15th and Locust. Very busy
intersection. Yeah.
So, but we figured it out, and we were doing that, and I'm like, okay, and I couldn't charge what I normally charge because you weren't making the same money you were making before, but we worked it out, and it gave me something to do, and it started forming a schedule for me. Monday night Zoom. Here's a silver lining. I will never get rid of Monday night Zoom trivia. Like, I discovered a whole different way to do what I do, right? So that's awesome. Like, I have a whole new night now dedicated.
And you're able to reach this nationwide audience because you can log in from anywhere. And
My Instagram followers went up by like 550 just from doing the Fido and Tuesday nights. Like, that's a lot of followers that if you're not buying them, that's a lot of organic followers to get.
Yeah.
In a matter of, whatever, 4 months, like in the beginning of this, like 4 months, like it was crazy. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, but this was like, there were some silver linings here for our businesses.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we have all come a very, very long way since the early aughts and our new deck days. Well, the last question that I wanted to ask you guys is, what is your favorite venue? So either past, present, future, a place that you love going to, love performing at. What's your favorite venue?
I'm gonna let Tom go first.
Oh, I get to go first?
Yeah.
So difficult.
He's like, oh, definitely Jet Wine Garden, number one.
Yeah, number one. Number one. I've never had a sip of wine in my life. Ever.
One of my goals at the end of this is to actually like go through some wines with Tom and find one that he appreciates.
Yes, and if you're confused about didn't MG say Tom was sober 7 years? It's a long story. Yes, now no, whatever. It is what it is. So anyway, favorite venue. This is so difficult for me because I've performed in thousands of local venues like throughout my 18 years, like some that aren't even there anymore. Like, they like Finnegan's Wake was like a staple. I know. I miss Finnegan's Wake so bad.
It's
massive
so
eye roll of like college days.
That it's St. Patrick's Day and we're talking about Irish pubs, because I feel like the majority of Irish pubs that I used to go dancing at in Philly aren't even there anymore.
They're not. And that's the thing. Like, we're recording this on St. Patrick's Day at 4 o'clock, and I'm allowed and I'm able. I should not be available to do this right now. I should be working. Oh, so we would do like we would DJ from like 2 to 2 on Patty's. It was our biggest money-making day of the year because we do have a lot of Irish bars. So Fido, I mean, this is difficult to decide, but it's Fido. Like, Fido is my favorite venue. I've been there for 15 years DJing. October of 2005 was my first year DJing at Fido. So that's how far back that goes. So we're in the 16th year now. They've been amazing to me. They've always had my back, no matter what. And they've been an amazing venue for me. All the performing there, the friendships, they're like family. Like, the people you've met there, like the majority of my friends in my life that I have today, I've met at Fido, whether they were working there or coming to trivia there or whatever it may be. This venue, hoping and crossing my fingers that it survives and that it, like, I was checking in on them today. How we doing? How's it going today? Like Patty's Day. What it's one of the more iconic Irish bars in the city now. And it was slow. And that's it is what it is. Like, we're doing Quizzo there again, and it's good. It is. But Friday and Saturday nights with DJs and dance floors. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I don't think
It'll be a while for that.
I don't think that comes back even when they lift restrictions. Like, when everyone, they're like, hey, herd immunity, we're good. Everybody can do whatever you want to do again. Full capacity, everything. I still don't think you're going to have places that are going to be packed the way they were. Like, the thing is, like, but it was so awesome because it goes from like a soccer bar, like on Saturday and Sunday mornings, or a rugby bar, like for Six Nations. It goes to like a restaurant, happy hour place, to like this, what happened in here? It's dark and there's lights and it's dancing and it's like, what is going? There's
my favorite is on Wednesdays before Quizzo when the pre-theater crowd is in there, and I'm like,
the pre-theater crowd.
Theater people, go, like, leave.
My most hated time to do Quizzo is, because we do it on Wednesdays, is sips. I can't stand.
Yeah. So there are two silver linings that came out of this. No more sips and no more Aaron Express. Those are the two silver linings of this.
Did you like sips, MG?
I
Were you
think
a
Sips
MG,
was
were you a
great.
Sips person?
Sips was great when
No.
it started. Sips
I
was
don't know.
great when it started, but I
So
was also younger and single then. So,
So
Yeah.
Sips also, so for our listeners who don't know, Sips was supposed to be this like citywide Wednesday happy hour situation with discounted beer, wine, and drinks. And so they did start it when I was in college.
They started
But that's
to
the only
bring mainliners into the city on a Wednesday night during the
Oh.
summer. They started it because in the summer, so listeners, and for those that are not from Philadelphia, in the summer, everyone goes to the shore, which is the Jersey Shore. And so they started the way they were like, oh, everyone's leaving. We need to generate money in the city. So we'll start happy hour on Wednesday nights. It was free parking in the city. It was $3 beer, $4 wine, $5 apps. It was, I mean, if you were 20,
it's a great deal if you were younger,
yeah,
but
if you
it's
were
just
23 in the
hell
city,
on a bar or restaurant. And it got way out of hand because 21-year-olds were acting like 21-year-olds on a Wednesday, and it was just it was a dumpster fire. So
Yeah, so now there's like Sips after parties and like DJs and clubs, and I'm like, what is happening?
The fun thing about Sips that I miss and love is that my girlfriend and I would actually look at the list, which started with like 80 or 90 restaurants, and we were looking at the list and we were like, we would find the out of the way places that like no one would go to. So like people would go to Fido, they would go to Continental, they would go to Tirtanog, they would go, and so my girlfriends and I discovered M Restaurant because of this. We discovered
beautiful venue.
The hotel bar at the DoubleTree. We used to go to the DoubleTree. Like
standing ovation.
These we were like, oh, this isn't going to have 50 people at it. Let's go here.
So Qamara, were one of these Sips venues your all-time favorite venue? Are you trying to tell me that? I love M Restaurant. It's beautiful.
Like in restaurant, so you both know that I have been dating the same person for a very long time. And I would always say that like when I'm 60 and we finally get married, like this is the place in Philly that I want to get married, because it felt like Paris in the city. It literally was like an enclave in the middle of Center City that had like the tent and the twinkle lights, and it was a
so they do still have all of that. It's still like a beautiful courtyard, but instead of the restaurant, it is Feast Your Eyes Catering that is just doing all of the catering. So you basically just pay for the venue and then can bring in the caterer.
Yeah, they have one, and it's an amazing story for the venue. If we wanted to talk, like it's an amazing story. That it's basically been around since the 1700s as someone's private residence, that someone bought in 2000 and converted it to a hotel. But no, my favorite venue is actually going to play cards at the beach in Atlantic City, because I have not been to a casino in over a year, and I want to go play cards at the beach.
That's not my scene. Oh, you could go check out Live Casino down here in South Philly. I believe Guy Fieri's got restaurants down here too.
Hold on.
Flavortown.
Your favorite venue is going to the beach. Like, that's such a bullshit answer.
First of all, it is not, because so here's what I will say about the beach.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
I am a summer baby, so I always love the ocean. I grew up near the ocean, and so this is my perfect day.
We didn't ask about your perfect day.
I'm going to tell you my perfect day.
Which includes a perfect venue.
It does include my perfect. So getting up at the crack of dawn, because I'm an early riser. So I get up at, 7:30, get in the car, drive an hour to the Jersey Shore to hit my favorite breakfast place, which is Gilchrist on the bay side of Atlantic City. Craig LeBan says they have the best pancakes ever. They really do. Have breakfast so that by 10 a.m. I can be on the beach at 10 a.m. In Atlantic City, you can actually bring your own alcohol, and the lifeguards, you can drink there. So from 10 to 2, I'm on the beach. Then from 2 to 5, I can go play cards, maybe 6. And then I can go have dinner at Harry's at Bally's, which is a decent seafood restaurant. And then have dinner from 5 to 7, 6 to 8. And then at 8 o'clock, I come home.
That's awful. You had a week. She sent this question out a week ago.
That's my perfect day.
This is no. You didn't ask you what your perfect day was. This
But
is what
I thought that was a perfectly wonderful answer. Well, I don't agree with. I am.
He knew that at some point it was going to turn into a bicker
yeah,
situation.
This is the real relationship between
we knew at some point he was going. But that is an amazing day. I get breakfast, I get beach, I get cards, I get dinner. I go home and eat by 10 o'clock.
Again, not
so Atlantic City as a whole is her favorite venue.
I just want to know. Right, and that's just a bullshit answer. I just want to know what your favorite Philadelphia venue is. Now,
you said it could be anywhere in the world. I said anywhere in the world.
You didn't say Philadelphia.
My favorite venue in the world is. I can't even think of a dumb joke here. You got me so upset about that.
Philadelphia. My other favorite place. So I also miss Aruba. At some point, I will get back there. And my favorite Philadelphia place, I hate to say it, this is the cheesy answer. This is the answer you can make fun of me about. But whenever someone's like, "Where do you want to go have drinks in the city?" I'm like, Jet, because I know it and it's safe and I have my own table. It is what it is.
There you go.
We had a lovely time last weekend. We finally had a break in the weather and enjoyed some wonderful outdoor glasses of wine and snacks at our socially distant table.
Do we have any?
And I love how intensely we really don't go out at all. And now with the weather warming up, we dip our toe in a little bit, but it is. And you're met every time you go to a restaurant for outdoor dining, you're met with the rules. Hello and welcome. Here is the 10 list of rules and expectations for how this is going to work. And I understand exactly why they do that, because you have to say the same thing to everybody and everyone has to follow the same restrictions and, keep your mask on when you get up. And I can't even imagine how exhausting it must be working in a restaurant right now. So I applaud everybody who is out there doing it and trying to get their guests to follow the rules and tip accordingly.
Well, as you know, you have to set expectations early.
You do. Otherwise, it's complete mayhem. And as this past year has been.
Are we going to follow the rest of the state queue?
That's a very great question. I was told that on my weekly call on Friday that I was not to get an update. I told the city that I request an update by next Friday.
That's it. I guess this is as far as indoor events.
So Pennsylvania actually is going to be lifting restrictions April 4th.
Yes, that is correct. Okay.
So on my call today, I asked. So apparently the city said that they were not given a heads up from Governor Wolf's office that this was coming. So they weren't prepared for the announcement. So they're spending this week to think about the announcement. And I told them I'm requesting an update by next Friday. That was
right.
This is one of the few opportunities I can pretend to throw around my weight a little bit figuratively. So I can try to move as many wheels as possible, but that was the request I made.
Cool.
We'll just wait and see what happens. Well, I cannot thank you guys enough for joining me today for this absolutely hysterical conversation. But I just adore the two of you and am thrilled that we got to spend some virtual time together this afternoon. And so I would love for each of you to share how our listeners can follow you, and if you have any upcoming events that you wanted them to know about, or if they should just be following you on your Instagrams.
I'll go first. It's fine because they're going to tune out. Susie, start talking. I love you, Q, so much. All right, so Press Play the DJ is where you can follow me on Instagram. Press Play the DJ on Instagram. Go follow it. I am live and in person on Tuesday nights at Cuddy's in Manayunk at 8:00 doing Quizzo. Obviously, we have indoor-outdoor space.
And that is J.D. McGillicuddy's, right?
That is J.D. McGillicuddy's. It is, yes.
That's what I learned when working in the beer industry. That they just call it Cuddy's.
It's good. It's Cuddy's and Yunk. Cuddy's in the Yunk. So I'll be there every Tuesday at 8:00 doing Quizzo Fido. On Wednesdays, obviously, except for today. We're moving it to tomorrow because of Patty's Day. But we're there every Wednesday, again, indoor, outdoor, socially distant. Quizzo on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. And if you want to stay home, you can play every Monday on my Zoom trivia at 8 o'clock. It's $25 a team. The link is in my bio for my Instagram. That's where I'm an Instagram guy. That's where you can follow me, check me out. And yeah, so thank you for having me, MG. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Tom.
So I am old, so I'm as social as I should be. But I Facebook, Instagram, Qamara Edwards, Q, no you, which is, I should do that more often and tell people that's how you can spell my name. I would actually encourage everyone who is a restaurant person.
Join the Pennsylvania Restaurant and Lodging Association, PRLA.
Yep. And for Sojourn Philly, like I said, we have a new restaurant that's opening, Sorinez at Berks and American. The Jet Wine Garden, which we talked about a couple of times, that's at 1525 South Street. Rex 1516 currently is at 1516 South Street. Hopefully, we're moving soon, sooner than later. And then Cafe Nez at 2025 Washington. They all each have their own socials, and just encourage you to come out and enjoy.
Can't wait. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and subscribe anywhere you have your favorite streaming podcast platform. Thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your day.